Hey, you want to see something really scary?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome to Fright Night.
Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Shed.
This week, we're celebrating Valentine's Day with 1981's My Bloody Valentine.
It's a bad time, this time of year.
How many times is he going to tell this story?
Oh, let him tell it. I love fairy tales.
This ain't no fairy tale, little girl. If you don't take it seriously, you're a fool!
The first Valentine's dance in 20 years has to be something special.
Look, Landers, you gotta get a lot of exercise if you're gonna grapple with Gretchen.
Oh, yeah? Well, I got a Valentine for her that she's never gonna forget. Right to the heart, huh?
In this town on Valentine's Day, everybody loses their heart.
Roses are red, violets are blue. One is dead, and so are you.
It can't be happening again.
No!
It can't be happening again.
What's going on over in Valentine Bluffs? It looks like Harry Warden's back in town.
It happened once. It happened twice. Cancel the dance or it'll happen twice.
In the town of Valentine Bluffs, there are many ways to die. Take your pick. My Bloody Valentine.
So, this is my birthday month.
Yay, send her gifts.
And this is one of my favorite films. I couldn't tell you why I love it so much. I guess, we have obviously Halloween, right? I love Halloween. I'm not a big Valentine's Day person, but there's something about this movie. I just love films that have that kind of the lore,
Yeah.
there's a backstory and it's something that happened many years ago. That kind of shit always gets me.
Well, one of the things with this, too, it takes place on Valentine's Day, obviously. The incident happened on Valentine's Day before and all this. But you could have easily changed this movie and made this, it happened on Halloween. It could have happened on Halloween and the story would be the same. It would just be a different holiday,
Yeah.
This could have even been a Friday the 13th movie if that already hadn't been taken.
Yeah, I guess. Well, before we get into all of that, let's talk about, you can go ahead and talk about the directors and screenwriters.
Well, this was directed by George Mihalka, who, after this, he seemed to mostly work a lot in TV, but he did do a few other horror movies you may have heard of, one called Eternal Evil. It's kind of a mainstay on the video store shelves. And one I haven't seen called The Psychic. Not any of the other movies called The Psychic. This is one with Zach Galligan from 1991. I kind of want to see that too. Alright, the story for this came from Stephen Miller, and he's worked on a lot of TV like George Mihalka. He worked on a lot of 80s shows like Magnum P.I., Simon & Simon. He worked on that Nightman TV series that was in the late 90s. I don't know if you remember that thing.
How about Dayman?
No, just Nightman. The actual screenplay was written by a guy named John Baird, who passed away in 1993, apparently. He was only 40 years old.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. Now, the thing I want to talk about for this real quick is this is one of the few, like, 80s horror movies, or horror movies in general, that has its own special ballad.
Oh, yes.
At the end of the movie, you get the Ballad of Harry Warden. The music for this was done by a man named Paul Zaza, who did the music for Curtains. He also did the music for the Porky's movies in the 80s and for all of the Prom Night movies. So he got a guy named John McDermott to sing the song, The Ballad of Harry Warden. And other than Madman, which we've also covered, I can't think of any other horror movie that has, like, a theme song with lyrics for the guy. Because, you know, obviously Halloween's, everybody knows the music for that's iconic, but there's no lyrics.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, none of those have lyrics.
Michael Myers was a boy who walked down the stairs.
But yeah, it doesn't quite have the same. But the Ballad of Harry Warden and the Ballad of Madman, Mars.
Out the door with a knife in hands. Parents driving up. I'm sorry. You're right. He doesn't have, there's no lyrical,
and same thing with the other, you know, iconic ones. And it's kind of odd that the two movies from the 80s that never got sequels during the 80s, or really ever, this one got a remake, but it never got a sequel, they're the ones that have the special theme song for the killer, you know?
Yeah.
Just kind of odd to me.
I have to say that the song is kind of, like, romantic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a ballad.
Even the Ballad of Madman Mars in there, you know, has kind of like a campfire kind of thing to it. Like he would sing around the campfire to be kind of creepy, you know?
So, Paul Kellman is TJ, Tom Jesse, which I can't recall them ever calling him Tom Jesse in the movie. It's TJ throughout the whole movie.
Or occasionally, they did call him TK at least once.
They did. They fucked that up.
They fucked that up at least once. I heard somebody call him TK.
Hanniger. And his father's the mayor, so that's, you know...
And the owner of the mine. No conflict of interest there.
I can't. Neil Affleck, no relation to any of the Afflecks. He's Axel, and he was an animator, a director, an actor, a teacher. He wore many hats, okay? I have to say, out of everyone, because a lot of the other actors, this was just like a one-off for them. They were like in this and like one other thing or just this. But Axel, Neil Affleck, he went on and he was an animator and he worked as an animation timer and director on shows like The Simpsons and Family Guy.
Wow. And
as an actor, he also appeared within the same year. He was also in Scanners.
Ooh, wow.
So it's so crazy. Like, this guy just went off to like animate The Simpsons. Like, it's just like, okay. And then John Frakes, who played the Chief Jake Newby, he voiced several characters for Inspector Gadget, alongside with his daughter Cree Summer, who was the voice of Penny during the first season of the original show.
Wow.
So you have them doing that. And then Harry Warden is played by Peter Cowper, which we did meet.
Yeah, we met him at I guess it was been about, when was that, 2016?
Yes.
It's been about 8 years now.
Super lovely. Signed I have one of the candy heart shaped boxes with a heart in it. And, which I had bought in a convention. Actually, in there was like a finger and a heart and some other like things. And I took that out just so I can just have the heart and had him sign that. So, and he wrote like the roses are red, you know, the little spiel. And then Patricia Hamilton, who played Mabel, she actually, and the only reason why I included this is because I'm a fan of the Anne of Green Gables 1985 version of Anne of Green Gables, and she played Mrs. Rachel Lynn, who was like the nosy like neighbor that lived by them. She was like a bee. So she played like in the animated series. She did the voice for the same character and the spin-offs. She was in it, so she was all about Anna Green Gables. So yeah, just so crazy. Like the totally like you would think they would stay within the genre or whatever. Like so spread out, and they all did like all these other things. But this is a Canadian film. Go Canada. And I have to say that...
Explains why he was in Scanners.
Exactly. Canada, I have to say, like, obviously, the USA has put out a lot of fucking horror movies. But the horror movies that I love the most, like, have actually come out from Canada. Canada puts out some pretty good horror movies.
They do.
Classics, I would say. Classics.
Yes, they do a lot of them, but the ones they do are the ones that you remember a lot. We
actually were able to watch at the Enzian, which is like an independent theater here. We were able to watch the 4K restoration of this film.
Which is the first time I've seen it like theatrically like this. I've always seen it on, VHS or Blu-ray, something like that.
I feel like I've seen it in the big screen before, but I'm probably just thinking like because I've seen it so many times that it's probably we saw the big screen like outside. So I'm like, oh, I saw it on the big screen. But yeah, I think this is the first time I actually seen it like in like a theater format. And they played the version that had the 9 minutes cut out because this movie, the Motion Picture Association of America, was like, no, you gotta cut out, like, you gotta cut some stuff out of this movie because this rating is gonna be like probably like NC-17, like
yeah, even X at the time, so that would have been limiting exactly where it would go,
So they had to cut out 9 minutes, and it's so wild what gets cut out because it's like the most violent, gory things that get cut out, but like where they have to make the cuts
is always weird,
because it's like, oh, you can show like the axe about to chop the head off, but you can't show it actually chopping the head off. You have to do like a cutaway and then it's rolling down the fucking mine, like shit like that, like weird. Where it's not like in action, it's just like you have to imagine the part where the head's being cut off. And, that kind of thing. Like how everyone thought, like, in, Halloween, it was like the bloodiest movie they ever saw. And
there's like this Chainsaw Massacre, and you're like, yeah, that's not, there's no blood in that movie.
So, there's 12 kills in this film. Which I have to say is a lot for, I feel like, 81. They just went right for it. Because I mean, I may be wrong, but I'm like, previous horror movies, were there that many kills?
No, I feel like they wanted to up it to beat like Halloween and Friday the 13th, because this had come out after both of them, and they wanted to kind of, really get it, because this one starts off with a pretty gruesome kill, which, they all kind of did at the time, but this one thing that cracks me up is, this one starts off with Harry Warden killing someone in the mine, and we never go back to that person or find out what happened there. Was that one of the original ones? Was that happening in the 60s? Was that happening now? We never really knew, did we?
Okay, so I'm sure there's some information on the internet somewhere. But I never thought that was actually Harry Warden that killed that chick.
Oh, the other one, yeah.
Spoiler alert. I think it's Axel that killed her. Maybe as practice to like rip, because no, I'm gonna tell you right now, it is Axel, because the heart that he pulls out is the heart that he sends over to the mayor.
Oh, that's right.
Because in the morgue scene, he comes back, come back and he says, oh, it's a human heart. So he confirms that it's a human heart. So it's Axel that did it. You can't just go around and just never have killed anyone with an axe and like try to rip hearts out if you've never done it before. You got to get practice in, and that was his practice. Yeah,
you can't just go into this blind.
Yeah, which also, like, in this time frame, like the 70s and 80s, there was a lot of like child trauma, like, oh, the kid was like traumatized, and then that affected, how the kid was raised, and then they be fucking something. They get triggered and they become a psycho. Like, so Axel was completely fine from like ages like 7 to like 25. He didn't cut no lizard tails off. He wasn't doing anything weird.
But once that Valentine dance went up, that was it.
He was like, nope, Valentine's Day can't come back. I'm not about that.
I feel like he could have just went to the guy and been like, hey, it's really freaking me out about this Valentine dance. Can we just skip that? Or, I don't know, maybe just get the fuck out of town for Valentine's Day.
Maybe because they didn't have, like, they spent 20 years with no Valentines. So, like, from the age of, like, 7 to, like, let's assume he's, like, 25, right? Even though he looks like he's 35. From the ages of 7 to, like, 25, there's no Valentines. There's no dance. No one's sending cards. Like, they're not decorating the town. And the last time you actually experienced that was when you saw your dad get murdered, on Valentine's. So I think literally that probably was like the trigger. Like, oh no, I can't fucking handle these doilied up fucking, hearts and these honeycombed decorations. I must kill now. That was a trigger. The trigger was the dolly hearts and the candied boxes, heart-shaped boxes. He wasn't about that. He was like, no, I can't do it.
It must have been. It's interesting because this movie, there's a lot of things in it that you'd see in later Friday the 13th movies, like the practical joker. This has got the guy that's always pulling a joke on people. He's always doing something. They're always going, oh, you, which you'd see like in Friday the 13th with Shelley, and you would see in all the 80s comedies had a practical joker of some kind. He was always doing something. Terror Train had a practical joke. Well, that one went a little crazy on that one, but there was always a practical joker.
There was always a practical joker. You're right, and then the other thing, the old man with the warning.
Yep, the bartender in this is like they nailed this perfectly in The Cabin in the Woods when they had the guy that was the sentinel that was giving him the warning at the gas station not to go and all. But yeah, this guy was perfect on that.
What gets me about that whole thing is like how like that took off, like how you will see that played over and over again, and it just becomes part of like the horror movies.
Yeah, it just really became one of the tropes.
How it becomes a trope, like they're like, oh, this is the thing that this is the thing. Yeah, because in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which obviously came out before this, the guy in the wheelchair was like the funny guy.
Yeah.
Right? Because then, and in that thing, he's like, oh, I have a disability, so I gotta be the funny guy if I want to get the girls. Like,
and it's always the kind of odd-looking guy that there's something they're like, oh, this is what their character trait is. They get someone that's a little odd-looking, do them, put them in maybe a crazy outfit or do something like that, and they're the practical joker.
Even down to, like, some of the deaths. Like, you have the Halloween-esque death where the girl gets, like, lifted up and like punctured in the back of the head.
Yeah, into the shower.
Where that's the equivalent of Bob getting it.
Yeah.
On whatever the fuck that was, the hook or nail, whatever the heck it was sticking out.
Friday the 13th kind of ripped this off later with the one people where we find them like while they were screwing and they got screwed.
Oh, yeah, the double impalement.
With the double impalement with the drill, they got screwed to the counter.
Yeah, then you have the sleepaway camp kill with the whole like boiling water.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of movies took things from this, and they just upped the ante on it. Sleepaway Camp was like, they put a guy's head in a pot in this. Okay, we're going to make a fucking pot that's 6 feet tall and put it on the burner that we're going to throw on this guy.
For me, not to digress, like, and move away from My Bloody Valentine, Sleepaway Camp, we've obviously had Felissa on, wonderful lady, and it celebrated an anniversary last year, because it came out in 83. But what I want to say about the film is, was that a Hansel and Gretel thing? Because were they trying to fucking cook one of the kids? Because the thing was massive. I didn't even...
Also, if you're going to have a pot that big, why would you have it up on a stove? Because if you put water in that thing, it would probably weigh 2,000 pounds. Because it had to hold like 500 gallons of water in there.
I don't know. It's just fucking crazy.
That was a crazy. But anyhow, we got found in the weeds in that one. But another thing I wanted to mention on this that I found interesting was the character of Hollis in this. It's played by an actor named Keith Knight that passed away in 2007. He, in a lot of these movies in the 80s, he would have just been the fat guy. Because he's chubby, he's got a mustache. But in most of the 80s comedies and a lot of the other horror movies, he would have just been the fat guy that would have been the butt of all the jokes. But this is one of the few movies where he's not the butt of any jokes. They never have him doing any of the things. It's like, oh, I'm going to eat 12 hot dogs or do any of that kind of stuff. He's the one that gets in and breaks up a couple of fights because he's the big guy that's strong.
Yeah.
And all this. It's interesting because so many of the 80s movies just do that trope of the fat guy eats all the time and he's the butt of all the jokes.
Yeah.
And it was just nice to see one where he was just a dude that was with them at the thing and nobody treated him any different, you know?
Well, that's because they were in Canada.
Yeah, the Canadians, they're all very nice. But yeah, if he'd have been in America, it would have been a different story.
Something we haven't seen in another film, and I mean, not that I've seen every single horror movie that's ever come out, but my favorite kill in this is, unfortunately, Mabel's death.
Yeah.
The dry to death kill, because that shit is gruesome.
Yeah.
And I'm not up for the gruesome kills, but man, what I really love about that kill is
when he goes in, it's just like, what smells so bad in here?
Yeah, I'm like, did it smell like fried bologna, or fried pepperoni, some kind of disgusting fried meat? No, my question is, not my question. I love that they show you her going around. He opens the door. He's grasping oh my god, hit Mabel. He's fucking crazed, right? And they show her going around in the slow motion. And then they go back for a second round. They're and she keeps tumbling side to side. It's hilarious. It's the best part of the movie for me. I also want to say, when we saw this at the Enzian, there was a question that was asked of how many people had seen this movie for the first time. I want to say, if I had to take a good educated guess, the Enzian probably holds 200 people, right? Probably.
Maybe not that many. Maybe about 100.
You think 100? I don't know. I'm going to go with 200. Nevertheless, it was more than half of the people. I feel like we were the only ones that didn't raise our hand.
Yeah, there were very few people that didn't raise their hand when they were how many people is this their first time seeing it?
Yeah.
Almost every hand in the building went up.
And a lot of people laughed in a lot of scenes. And I've never experienced, I've watched Halloween, I can't even tell you how many times on the big screen, and watched it with all different kinds of audiences. And there hasn't really been laughs, but this film got so many laughs, and I just kept wondering, what the fuck is so funny? But because I've seen the film so much, and I wasn't getting bothered by it, it was just so curious to me, what is it that gained a laugh? Because for you to laugh at something
we've seen Halloween with the crowd at the Enzian, and there were people there that raised their hand up that had been oh, we've never seen it before. We didn't have a lot of laughter at that one.
But there,
Phantasm, even when I saw that there wasn't a lot of people oh, Phantasm's hilarious or whatever.
No, I don't know. I think because it's a horror film, there are scenes that maybe the people felt were just over dramatized, and that's what got the laugh. I don't know. I really wanted to ask, I really wanted to just stop people, just take a note of who laughed, and then ask them, what did you find funny in that scene? I was just so, if you have one off for the listeners, if you happen to have been in the fucking theater and you happen to listen to our podcast, please send us a stay tuned to the horror at gmail.com, an email, or on our Instagram, and just DM us. What made you laugh? The one scene that's very clear in my head, the first laugh, was when the chief and the mayor in the car, and the mayor has received, the chief is like, oh, this was dropped off for you or whatever, and he gives him like the fucking box of candy, and he opens the little card.
Got an admirer.
Yeah, he opens the card, right, and he reads the fucking warning, like, don't fucking have the dance, basically. And then he opens it, and it's a fucking heart, and they don't show you the heart in the box. They just show his reaction, but his reaction is like, he leans back into the chair, his head is back on the chair, and he's like, oh no. Like, and that gained a laugh. Like, I was just like, okay. Like, I would understand if he was like, oh no, like very dramatic, but it was just like just a very, very like basic laugh, like, oh no.
Like, oh shit, what did I just open?
You know, I don't know. I just, it just really like fucking sent me. I'm never going to stop thinking about this. Like, this is something that's going to stay with me, which is weird. Like, why would I keep thinking about it? I just want to know, like, why were people laughing? Like, not that this is a fucking Academy Award winning, like, serious movie. Like, oh no, we're watching a drama. Like, why are people laughing? I don't know. Just the scenes that were being laughed at were scenes that didn't garnish a laugh. Like, they didn't garner a laugh, not garnish. They didn't garner a laugh. Now I'm hungry. All the talk about chocolate, I'm just like, delicious. I would love to eat some chocolate right now. Do you have a favorite death scene? Besides the Mabel Laundrette death?
Yeah, that one's pretty good. I'm trying to think which one was my favorite other than that. This is a little more graphic in the extended version too. Is where they put the rope around the guy's neck. The jokester, I believe, is the one that is the jokester guy, where he gets thrown off of the ladder with the rope around his neck, and it just snaps his head off. Then you see the head just kind of hanging on with all the pieces of it and everything. And that was a great effect. I love that.
Yeah, I love the other one where he gets the pickaxe in the fucking eye, and the eye's like dangling off the fucking...
The old man that gave the warning.
Damn. He got it real. Yeah, and then he got dragged. You know, but I hate to say that he deserved that death, because that idiot, and I'm gonna just chalk this up to, he must have been drunk, right? Like,
well, obviously, yeah, he been at the bar drinking, warning people about death all day. So
I mean, when you're the bartender, you shouldn't be drinking, like, but fine. He's been drinking the whole time, we're assuming, because he went back like 4 or 5 times to open the door, because he had rigged like
a fake minor costume to scare them.
Yeah, to scare them, to fucking, oh, those fucking kids, they think it's just so funny, I'm gonna get them, like, thing. I'm like, dude, you did it like 5 times. You did it so many times that Axel had time to like get into the fucking gear, walk into the fucking area,
take
like,
your dummy down,
yes,
and then wait. So maybe you've done it too many times, Chief.
Yeah, so I'm like, no, he deserves to die. He's an idiot. Like, you do it one time to check to make it like, oh, that's funny. You do it the second time to make sure that it actually works, and then you fucking walk away.
Or was he so drunk that Axel just happened to have the gear on? Maybe that was where he had just killed the girl in the mine. He was so drunk that he just came in and started rigging up Axel's hand, and he was like, you know what, I'm going to wait and see where we're going with this. And after a few times, he was like, all right, I'm going to kill him now. Because he's just like, I'm going to let him go. I'm going to let him go. Okay, he came back again. That's it. This fucker has to die.
I don't know, dude. But yeah, he really got it. Big time.
That was they kind of did a version of that kill in the remake of it, where it was Tom Atkins, and he gets hit in the jaw with the pickaxe and gets his jaw ripped off. Which I gotta say, I saw that one when it first came out.
Oh, because it was in 3D.
It was in 3D. It had some great 3D with it too. And when they threw the jaw at the thing and it turned and threw it straight at the screen, it looked good. It came flying right up at you, and it was like, whoa.
I don't even have a recollection if I saw this in the theater or not. What year did that come out? 2009?
The same year as the Friday the 13th remake reboot that starred the other guy from Supernatural.
Oh yeah, I did actually like Killer X, whatever it's called.
No, it's just called Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
That Killer Cut thing was just what they put on the extended version when they released it.
I don't know why, but I literally think that's the name of the movie, Killer Cut. They should just name it Killer Cut. Like,
probably.
That's the name of the movie for me.
But yeah, I always thought it was weird that the two leads from Supernatural, each starred in a remake of a horror movie that was centered around a holiday, Friday the 13th and Valentine's Day, and they released the same month. Like, that's kind of weird, where they just like,
I don't know.
Fuck you, I'm going to be in a movie just like you. Like, what was that? Was that competitiveness, or they just what they got offered and they were like, well, the check's good, so let's go.
When did The Fog come out with Superman?
That was like 2005. That was a few years before.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like a CW war.
It may have been. It's still pretty recent compared to it. But the remake of this one, it's not bad. I like it. It reminds me a little bit more. It's a more spread out. It takes place over a few more days, I think, and in more areas than just the mine and like the area around the mine. It's more of an I know what you did last summer kind of thing. And it's not bad. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it's fine. I have no dislike for it, but also I'm not in love with it. I'm just like whatever about it. It's fine. It's fine.
It was just, I think part of it when I saw it was like, oh my God, Tom Atkins is back in a movie.
Yeah, well, no, obviously Tom Atkins. And I'm literally trying to, I'm racking my brain. I'm like, but wait a second, don't I own that movie? I'm pretty sure I own that movie.
Yeah, I do. At least if I don't, you do. So we do.
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. I would have loved to have seen it in 3D. That's for sure.
Yeah. This would have been good in 3D too, because there's a few scenes in it that would make a pretty good 3D effect on it.
Yeah, I feel like this is the movie, why don't they, and this probably fucking happened in California, because everything happens in California. This is something I would definitely go on, Valentine's to watch. Yeah. Valentine's Day. I'm not going to watch, whatever fucking J-Lo, movies coming out. I'm watching, don't ask me why J-Lo was in my head. I'm going to watch, My Bloody Valentine.
You know what's hilarious about this movie, too, is they kind of got a little jab in at Friday the 13th, because they're like, oh, our movie starts on Thursday the 12th, where it's the first events that are happening, and then, there's a few kills on Friday the 13th, too. And then Saturday the 14th is Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So they got a little bit of all the holidays in there. You got Valentine's Day and some Friday the 13th kills in there.
And Jamie Lee Curtis's birthday.
Yes.
For any of you who know what we just fucking said, send us a DM. Referencing another movie, which we have not covered.
No.
One day we'll cover it. One day. And I'll throw a guess. It's gonna be on a Saturday. But yeah, it was really awesome to see this and restored. I mean, it looked freaking amazing, and the 9 minutes, it's like watching a whole new movie, because 9 minutes sounds like so little, but what they cut out really adds more meat. And it was restored
because there had been a version, we own a Blu-ray of it that's the extended cut that has the extra footage. But there was a DVD they put out years ago that had the extended footage on there, but it wasn't necessarily merged back into the movie. And when it was a much lower quality than the rest of the film, so it was very obvious, this is this is the new footage.
Yeah.
But this one, they had everything cleaned up and restored, and it was really good to see everything kind of uniform and looking good,
Well, I think this wraps up our episode.
Obviously, this is going to get 4 pickaxes.
Yes, 4 pickaxes for sure. For sure. Look, regardless if, there's some hokey moments, the kills are freaking great. The story is fantastic. I also, is it a dig in a way to Halloween 2? Because when they're trying to find out if Harry Warden is in the fucking insane asylum, someone comments either they're like, look, either he's dead or he was transferred. And I'm just like, I'm dead. Of course he was transferred, because he was transferred. Was he transferred last Valentine's Day? Is that how he escaped?
That's how he gets out.
Yeah. So yeah, I
love all those memes about maybe they shouldn't move Michael Myers on Halloween. Maybe they should wait till
November 1st. You know, shit, some other day. Why is it always on fucking Halloween? October 30th. Let's move this dude. That's the perfect time.
No, maybe we should do it on Easter.
Yeah, hello, why? Why would you do that? But it has its own ballad, okay? It has its own there's a lore behind it. And we didn't even get into, for those of you who've never seen it, we didn't even get into like the actual Harry Warden, like what happened. You got minors. There's a mine accident. The men get
trapped in the cave.
Trapped in there, and Harry Warden has to eat his way out.
Yeah.
To fucking survive. He becomes a fucking cannibal. And of course, after you've eaten the human flesh, of course you lose your mind and you just go around fucking killing everybody. But you see, he killed the Axel's dad, which I don't remember clearly, even though, yes, I have said I've seen this movie so many times. The small details. If Axel's dad had any kind of, like, what the hell was he? He must have been something important, because I feel like he went after...
He was like the owner of the mine, or the manager of the mine, I believe.
Right?
He was one of the people that went off and left them down there when the methane exploded.
Yeah. So he came back for revenge.
He came back after everybody that left him, because they were supposed to be, this is kind of a thing in the remake too, someone was supposed to be watching to make sure the methane levels didn't get too high and pull everybody out. They left and went to the party.
Yes,
and that's where they got trapped down there. So after he spent a year in the insane asylum, they were like, well, you've been here a year, Chief. You're completely cured. They let him go, and he went out and started murdering everyone.
You know, I want to know, did he eat those people?
He definitely ate those people in the mine.
No, not the people in the mine. When he went back a year later, because they say, like, once you taste the human flesh, that's it. That's all you want to eat. Like, that's like, woo.
Or you just go vegan.
I don't think he went, well, maybe... After eating that terrible hospital food, I think I would eat fucking human flesh too.
Yeah, it might be better.
Like, you know, I don't know, but so yeah, so you got all that, and then I'm just like, oh well, they just killed him off. He just died. He died.
Yeah,
he
just died. Said like, what happened? Did he just die of old age? Did he?
He just died.
Yeah.
He just died. The Avengers Endgame happened. He just fucking went away.
In a way, also throughout this whole thing, the actual Harry Warden. It's kind of a red herring, much like in Prom Night.
Yes.
They're always talking about it, it's Harry Warden. In the end, you find out, no, Harry Warden's been dead for years.
Yeah.
So, again, it's the Prom Night thing of the red herring is out there, and you're like, oh, when is he going to show up? Oh, he's never showing up. He's dead.
Well, guys, you know, we spent Valentine's Day together, and I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. In a sense, even though it's going to be coming out before Valentine's Day. So just hold off and, you know, get a beer, get something to drink, something delicious, and listen to the Ballad of Harry Warden while you're taking a boba bath, for anyone who enjoys a boba bath. And listen to this episode.
And do not listen to IMDb, who says the soundtrack has never been made available. It's available lots of places.
Yeah, like someone needs some. Well, yeah, the whole thing is like regular Joe Schmo goes in there and updates it. So
yeah, well,
the My Bloody Valentine fans have not done justice to update the the IMDb.
Yeah.
In there, because that information is wrong, and we own the album.
Yeah.
So we have the physical media of the thing that says that doesn't exist.
Unless this is a real bad, what do you call it? The Mandela effect?
Oh, yeah.
It was a real bad Mandela effect. We actually have a physical copy of it this time to prove it.
Goodness. Well, thank you so much for joining us in another episode of Jump Scare, the horror podcast. Stay tuned to the horror.
Sarah, be my bloody Valentine. Daddy, gone away. Harry Warden made you pay.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.